I think can be a focus for a lot of people, just how am I able to go about my day with a great quality of life? Yeah. I feel great, and in turn, you're really able to pour into other people because you're operating maybe not at your best, but you're a better you.
Welcome to the Hope in Real Life podcast with Jason Gore. Our team is passionate and committed to bringing you more hope in the everyday, real areas of your life. If this conversation and content is valuable for you, please do us a favor. Like, subscribe, and even share. You never know how valuable it could be to share a little bit of hope with someone else. Let's get the conversation started. What is going on, Hope in Real Life family? We are here for another episode of Hope in Real Life. Today, we are talking about a topic that I believe so many of us need to lean into, and it's this idea of fitness and how we take care of ourselves physically. Now, look, as I say that, before you even start to turn this thing off and say, I'm not there, I'm not ready to jump into this fitness conversation, and I don't want to listen to this knucklehead make me feel guilty for the next 20, 30 minutes. That's not what this episode is about, and I want to encourage you, stay tuned in. We're all going to leave a bit better than when we got started. I'm here this week with Steve Chriscoe and Matt Kelley, two good friends of mine, and some gentlemen that really do take good care of themselves, their families, investing in the community. I'm kind of getting, maybe a little bit. And so I want to go ahead. Let's just start out by introducing. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves? Welcome to the show, by the way.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I'm Steve. I am husband to Julie, my very talented, beautiful, and strong wife. Mm-hmm. Father to Dylan, Katie, and Ryan. Recent empty nester. Work in clinical research as my day job, and I'm an Apex resident. I've been at Hope Community Church for around 12 years. Enjoy volunteering with the Welcome Team as well as the Stewardship Ministry. And big news, I'm going to be a grandparent in the spring.
Oh, man, congratulations.
Wow.
Yep, really excited.
Yep, awesome.
Yeah, and I'm Matt, and I live in Apex, married to my wife, Brooke, and we have two boys. They're 10 and 13, so I got a little ways to go, a little more active in the house right now. And for work, myself and Brooke, we work from home. We have a family business that does like software and websites for car dealerships. And just outside of that, we have this thing called F3, but also I have to get this in where I'm a small group leader at church for some senior guys that are probably listening. So I got to make sure I can just give them a shout out real quick. So.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, listen, you mentioned F3 already. And so we'll talk about that. This isn't necessarily a podcast about F3, right, but we are going to talk about it because I do believe they're doing some great things. But to set the stage, why don't you both just talk for a moment just about your own fitness journey?
Yeah. So for me, growing up, I was always involved in athletics. Actually was a PE major.
Okay.
So have a physical education degree, one of my degrees. But when I became an adult, got married, started having kids, I was very inconsistent with my fitness. And what I've learned since, in hindsight, definitely wasn't being my best self. And so about almost 7 years ago, got involved with a group. Matt mentioned F3 that we're going to talk about a little bit more. And it's really elevated a lot of areas of my life, including fitness. Mm-hmm. And so I'm 53, and at this age, I'm in a lot better physical condition than I was at 33.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been transformative for me.
That's not the narrative for a lot of people. So
it's
that's
not.
Good to hear that it's possible. Even that it's possible should be encouraging and give us a little bit of hope. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I got goals to be like Steve when I'm there. So, same thing. I grew
up. Set the bar
up,
higher, Matt.
Had an active childhood, did some sports like soccer and hockey. One unique thing is once I was at NC State, that's when 9/11 happened, and a group of us decided to join in a 5K for the fire department, and I loved it. From doing that and that environment was just real fun, and there's a little bit of competitiveness to it that was great. And so I started signing up for road races and just kind of sort of became a runner, and have been doing that. Ended up being able to complete a couple marathons, and then kind of hit like a point where I was just like, I'm good. I'm good now. I don't need to continue on that path. And that's when I was introduced to F3 and have been since doing that for the past 9 years now. So.
Okay. And before we jump into just the fitness side of things, I just think it's important to recognize like very few things in our lives happen in a vacuum, right? And so I'd love for you just to talk about for a moment, how have you found that working fitness into your everyday routine, or we can say, let's just say regular routine, and maybe regular can mean different things for different people, but how's working fitness into your regular routine helped other areas of your life other than just physically?
Well, for me, I will say it absolutely has made me a better husband, a better father, a better son, a better leader, a better employee, a better volunteer, and truthfully, a better Christian, I believe.
I mean, and that's a big commercial, that what you just said. I mean, that's like every area of your life. So can you, like, how does it impact? How's it what you do physically?
Yeah.
How is that impacting the rest of your life?
I can tell you on the days, and fortunately it's more days than not, when I get up in the morning, I do the hard thing, answer the alarm, get up and go to work out. It changes my day. It changes my attitude. It changes my outlook.
Yeah.
It changes how I can show up for other people. And I'll use work as an example. As a leader at work, it's important that I show up in the right way and support my team.
Yeah.
And I can tell a difference. I feel certain other people can tell a difference when I have that part right in my life. I'm taking care of my fitness. I'm taking care of myself first. I have to help myself first before I can show up well for other people.
Yeah. Matt.
Yeah. It's the same thing pretty much. But what's funny is we have a Bible study that we'll do after the workout. And there'll be some days that I skip the workout and just go straight to the Bible study. And I get there and I always get the question, "Hey man, you okay? You all right?" Because it's a different person.
Right. Yeah.
And just that, like the trajectory that fitness does in my life to set it on a path that's greater than what it would be without it is just like very noticeable. Brooke notices it for sure. The kids can notice it. And it's just that idea that like fitness drives action, where I do a workout and when I'm done with it, I completed something hard that I'm like, man, what else can I do? Like, you don't want to hold it. And you're not like, oh, I'm done now. You're like, what else can I do now?
Right.
And it just drives that action to something bigger.
Yeah. I just think it's so important for our listeners to realize, and if you're looking for more hope in your everyday life, this idea of fitness and taking care of yourselves physically, it impacts every other area. I mean, in my own life, people ask me, so what do you do to work out? And what's your training schedule look like? And I tell them like, okay, well, that probably works for you because you just love to be physically fit and you like to be. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I kind of do, right? But more than that, it's that there are a few things that I've seen in my life that are, widget in, widget out as it relates more so than our physical health. I mean, if you watch what you eat and if you train regularly, you see a positive impact. And then it's contagious. Like you just said, in every other area, you're like, okay, so if I do the right thing, I'll get the right results. And so then that filters over, whether it's what it means in your marriage, what it means as a parent, what it means in the workplace. And there really is, oh, I can do that. And it will yield the results that I'm after. So you keep chasing after it. And then we don't even need to get into this right now. And then on top of that, science would tell us there are some, there's dopamine releases and all kinds of things that gets dumped into our bodies that you don't get unless you're maybe pursuing unhealthy chemicals. And that's a whole other thing. We can talk about that on a different show. Okay, look, it's New Year's season, right? So lots of people, lots of goals. All the gyms are going to get full for a little while. For a week, and then people go back to everyday life, but
not after they hear this.
That's right. That's right. They're going to stay leaned in. But man, consistency is the key.
Yeah.
And so, what have the two of you found that has led to you staying consistent? What do you do to stay consistent day after day, week after week, year after year?
For me, it's definitely like it's all about accountability. And I almost don't like that word, but it really is about accountability. And I find that through group fitness, because if I'm doing something by myself, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get up and run this morning. No one knows that I did or didn't.
No one's going to know.
No one's going to sleep in. So group fitness for me has helped with that accountability to keep it consistent. And you just share that with other people, whatever it is. If you share what you're going to do, like, hey, it's the new year, I want to do a 10K in June, tell somebody.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be a little more accountable to that. And people are going to follow up with you. Oh, how's that 10K training?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I could make up the stat on the spot, like most people do. I don't know what it is, but I mean, you're so much more likely if you say something out loud to somebody, write it down, increase accountability, the likelihood of actually following through with it goes through the roof.
And I need that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm big on negative self-talk. And where if I don't do it, I'm real easy to be like, you're lazy. No one even cares if you're going to the workout.
Yeah.
And like being a part of a group, it just washes that away when I can show up.
Yeah.
And they'll check on me.
I think it's just worth highlighting that this is, we're not talking to some guys here. I mean, maybe Steve is. I mean, he's 53 and he's looking great. But you're not here on this show talking about this because you just happen to be perfectly motivated and disciplined all the time in and of yourself.
Absolutely not. No,
Yeah.
I'm actually in PT right now for a knee surgery. So I'm like, I hurt myself from doing things wrong. So I'm definitely not an expert.
Steve, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay after? I shouldn't say how do you stay motivated because I'll talk about that in a minute. How do you stay consistent?
I actually like the word accountability. I'm going to differ from Matt there. But really, you're going to find our answers are really similar. I have a group of guys that if they don't see me for a couple of days and I haven't let them know that maybe I'm out of town or something, somebody's going to be checking in with me. Hey, are you doing okay? What's going on? So it's helpful. It's helpful to have a spouse that is really supportive. Her alarm usually actually goes off before mine does. So that's really helpful. I will say I'm not going to recommend necessarily that your spouse or significant other is your primary source of accountability. I think you need other people.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference to me. Just knowing that there are people, because accountability is about caring about somebody.
Yeah.
It's not a negative thing. And the guys that I work out with, we care about each other and we care about all aspects of our lives, and fitness just being one of them, and just making sure everybody's okay.
Yeah.
And that's huge for me. It's just, I would say just show up.
Yeah.
Just show up. I saw this quote on social media. Actually, my wife posted it, so I'm going to give her credit for it. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about continuity.
Yep.
So don't try to be perfect, but just keep showing up.
Yeah. We are going to interrupt this program for one moment to let you know about a resource for personal development or spiritual enrichment that I know all of our listeners will benefit from. And it is the Hope in Real Life mobile app.
What? Tell me about it.
I would love to tell you about it. It's a free tool made specifically for our listeners.
We like
free is good. Most people do, and I like to clarify, it's free to the end user. It's definitely not free to us to create.
So, Jason, what does it cost?
Absolutely free.
Absolutely
How about that? It offers multiple features: daily devotions, parenting tips, financial resources, marriage insights. There's even a community where you can actually share prayer requests, things that are going on in your life, and actually see and know that other people are praying for you. In fact, the only thing it doesn't do is do your workout for you. That's like the one thing that you...
It's like mobile F3.
Is that going to be like in the 2.0 version?
I think if we do that, it won't be free anymore. We're going to have to start charging at that point. But listen, stay tuned. If this resource is not available now, because this episode is being released early January, it is right around the corner. So stay tuned. And remember, tomorrow can be better than today, and hope is possible even in real life. Because a lot of people talk about motivation. That's a question I get. Like, how do you stay motivated? And the reality is, man, if you knew how many days I worked out that I wasn't motivated, so I would say, man, if you're going to focus on accountability, helps. Focus on the discipline, the discipline side of I'm just going to show up. I'm just going to show up. I'm just going to show up. Because when you show up, things start happening. And yeah, man, consistency, I think, is so key. But that accountability piece is big. we'll come back to that in a minute because I know F3 is a part of that. Let me ask just a fun question here for a minute. Least favorite day for a workout or least favorite type of workout or exercise?
Mine is Monday. I hate getting up on Monday mornings and doing the workout. But like we've been talking about, showing up on Monday sets the week.
Yeah.
So what I'll usually do is I'll try to work out 6 days a week. I'll say I'm going to work out 6 days a week, and I'm okay with 5. But if I miss Monday,
Right, you're behind.
I'm on the line for the rest of it.
Yeah.
So Monday's the toughest day to get up. But as far as like exercises go, yeah, I don't like to like do like plank holds and stuff, but we actually get to lead the workouts ourselves sometimes, and I'll call the things that are hard for me because I know that I need work on them. So I'll actually call the ones that I hate the most.
Oh, that's good.
Because then I'm accountable to doing them with everyone else.
But then you can set the rep count, right? So then you can do less if you want to do less.
I can always stop the count.
There's a benefit to leading, right?
Yeah, that's right. Steve, anything you hate?
Yeah. So
Anything? No, you just love it all. You got
the toughest day for me is the day after I don't show up for a workout because I've broken my pattern. I've broken that habit. So in the past week or so, I had some business travel. I was out of town. I get completely out of routine. I get back here, and the toughest day was that first morning back, getting up to show up for a workout.
Well, let's do this. We've talked about F3 a little bit. Let's kind of dig into that for a minute. And then when we finish up, we'll kind of talk about some overall application for folks that, don't have any idea or desire to jump into F3. So we'll come back to that. But F3, it stands for Fitness, Fellowship, and Faith. And from the most recent stats I saw, it's been in New York Times, Men's Health, but it looks like there's 4,287 peer-led workouts across 357 regions. And so this is like a fitness movement that's happening, or fitness, fellowship, and faith movement that's happening all across the country, right? And
worldwide,
happening worldwide, and nobody's getting paid, right? Best we know. And so we've got a clip here that I just wanted to check this out before we talk about it. Ahmad, if you could roll that clip for us.
Make no mistake, men. Every day you're in a battle for your health, a battle for your family, a battle for your very soul. There are forces, seen and unseen, that want you to fail. They're counting on you to fail. Some of these are within your own mind, reminding you of your past failures, telling you, hey, stay in the comfort of your warm bed instead of waking up, doing something difficult, and accelerating with other men who support you and require your support in return. This is F3. They're no lone wolves. We're a pack of men with a shared vision to plant, grow, and serve for the invigoration of male leadership in our community. We are F3. Are you ready?
So if somebody was struggling with motivation earlier, they should definitely lock that in on their playlist and get them going. So look, a lot of folks I know that talk about F3, they will say things like, hey, it's more than a workout. What do they mean by that? What does that mean?
Well, it's the 3 F's. Yes, fitness is the thing. It's the hook that gets guys out there. So the workout is very important. It's the basis. The second F is fellowship. I like to call that the glue that kind of keeps the guys there. And then the faith is where the growth. Matt, I think you said the explosion happens.
Yeah.
That's where you see guys really improving themselves. And I like to talk about just strive to get 1% better today. And it has helped me in its small increments to get better. That's really what it means to me.
Yeah. Let's dig into that just for a moment and let's just kind of break them down. So you said fitness. So for our listeners, what does that look like? Workouts can mean, we've probably got folks that work out all the time and some folks that have never done it but want to take that first step. What does the fitness side look like with F3? What's a normal workout like? You mentioned your alarm going off early. Do they need to know that these workouts mostly happen?
Mostly happen in the morning. Yeah. But what we said is because it starts your day off right.
Yep. So
it's good to get it in early. So F3 has 5 core principles: free of charge, open to all men, always outdoors, rain or shine, cold or hot. It's volunteer led. And then in the end, we end with a circle of trust. So a typical workout is just going to look like guys meeting up in a parking lot or a park somewhere. And for 45 minutes, they're
Don't avoid the time. What time? What time are they meeting in the parking lot?
most of the time that's 05:30.
05:30. And the
Yeah.
reason why I just want to highlight that, because an easy excuse is like, oh, my kids, I got my kid. Like, your kids most likely aren't getting up before 5:30.
That's right.
And so,
And that's
okay.
that's part of why.
Right.
That's part of the why is let's get it in before the day starts with the family.
Okay. So
and everything.
05:30, we're in a parking lot somewhere.
And then one of us is leading. So it's completely free to lead. You sign up, you say, I'm going to lead this week. And so everyone knows, like, I'm going to go to a Red Rider. That's Steve. I'm going to go to his workout.
We'll come back to what that means in just a moment.
Then for 45 minutes, we're doing whatever he tells us to do, pretty much. And he can tell us to do sprints, bear crawls, burpees, squats, push-ups.
We might do all of those.
Might do all those. Wall sits, like whatever. Partner work, anything. So we do that for 45 minutes, and then we usually end with a little bit of ab workout, and then we're going to end in a circle of trust. And the circle of trust is, well, that's why it's a core principle. It's very unique that this is the time for guys to be able to be vulnerable. What we do is we ask for like prayers and praises. That can be anything. Be like, what's on your heart? What's on? And it gives time, or it gives guys a chance to just like share what's on their heart. If they need a prayer request, or if they're going through something, then we can, in some regions you pray, sometimes you just kind of encouragement, but you just end the workout. But you get deeper with someone instead of just like, if you showed up to a gym and you knew Steve there and you just like, hey, will you spot me on this?
Yeah.
And then like, that's your friendship.
Right.
Yeah, and you kind of just transitioned us very seamlessly. Well done, from the fitness side into the fellowship side. And so, how long on the fitness do you say the workouts normally last?
45 minutes.
Normally 45 minutes.
And that includes the circle of trust.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
and so then that moves us into the fellowship side. So you're doing this with other people that are committed, that have gotten out of their warm beds to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But Steve, you know, in talking in preparation for the show, you made a statement: adult men in general do not have a lot of close connections with other men, and F3 helps bridge this gap.
Right.
Talk about that, just the fellowship side of it, just for a moment.
And I can use myself as an example. Before I found this group, before I found this fellowship and this group of guys, a lot of the people that you are your quote unquote friends may be people, if you have kids, who your kids are in similar activities. Maybe you're playing a sport together. Maybe let's say it's volleyball. And when volleyball season's over, or that child moves to a different school or goes to a different activity, and you're not around those people, how often do you actually keep hanging around with them? Not very often. F3 allows us, and the circle of trust is a great example where this starts. To be vulnerable, men being vulnerable with other men, supporting other men through the things that go on in their lives. It could be, a faith journey. It could be family. It could be lots of things, work struggles. We've dealt with all of that. And it starts in that circle of trust. And then it flows over, like this morning. Matt and I did a workout this morning. After the workout,
Accountability.
Exactly. We went to coffee. We call that cafeteria. So we went to coffee, and that's really where that second half, that fellowship grows.
Okay.
And we have other opportunities. It's not always coffee. It may be going to meet up on a specific evening of the week. Yeah. It takes a lot of forms.
And so the fellowship side, it happens in that 45-minute workout, and there's part of it that's programmed into that. But in most of these groups, it leads to opportunities even outside of that as well. Is what you're saying?
Absolutely. As you get to know guys, we grow in that fellowship, and I think eventually you transition into faith, that belief in something that's bigger than yourself. And as we're improving ourselves, getting that 1% better every day, you really want to share that with everyone and your community. And so then we get involved with areas of community where we can lift other people up and help them out.
Yeah. And, I want to be clear on this. Let's talk about the faith component, but I do want to be clear because Matt, you even said, hey, people might share things that they're struggling with or areas that they need prayers with, but I want to be clear for our listeners that might be listening to me like, oh, it's a Christian thing or it's a deeply spiritual thing. That means I'm not ready yet. I got too many vices. I got too many. If they knew what I really struggled with in my life, and that's a Christian thing or a faith thing, I've got no place there. Can you just talk for a moment about, because I know the heart about it, can you just talk for a moment about where you expect people to be before they show up as it relates to their faith?
As far as their faith, all they have to do is just know that there's something bigger than themselves. Yeah. So once you start thinking outside of yourself, that's the faith element. Yeah. And what we've been talking about is like that trajectory that I keep saying that the fitness brings us out there. That's the magnet, like we said. Once you get this group of guys that basically just have all this balled up energy of, I want to do more, I want to be more, and you get that group together, then it explodes into like, well, what can we do? How can we use this to impact other people? Because now you're thinking outside of yourself. And so there's multiple ways to do that depending on your faith and everything. But definitely community impact is a huge part of what F3's about.
Yeah, I mean, I tell our guys all the time, we want to show up and leave this place wherever we are better than we found it. We want to be a net positive impact on our community, whether it's going and mowing lawns for the Caring Place, supporting Haven House. We've got guys that pick up food every week that's donated to Western Wake Crisis Ministry. I could go on and on about some of the things that we do in the community, but it's having that net positive impact overall.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this. I know this is an episode about fitness, right? But this podcast exists hopefully to bring hope to people in the everyday moments of their life, in real life. And at the end of the day, I mean, if we've got a guy out here that's listening to this right now, I want all of us to recognize we weren't made to sit around and to be idle and to be unhealthy. Like our bodies were, and my belief is we're created to move and to function in an optimal way, in an incredible, beautiful way. But we have to leverage it, because if we don't take advantage of that, it does go in a direction that it wasn't created. And we're not going to experience a hope-filled life if our bodies aren't moving the way that they were created to. The fellowship side, we're not going to thrive and live a hope-filled life if we're disconnected, if we don't have meaningful relationships in our life. And then on the faith side, you can believe whatever you want, but if you're not living your life but understanding that there is something outside of yourself, that there is a bigger purpose, that ultimately leads us to, I would even say, contributing to society and to the world around us, man, we're just not going to experience hope the way that we're created. And so while this is not a commercial for F3, I know that nobody gets paid, and that maybe there'll be some other gyms or fitness movements out there that do charge, and they'd hate us pushing so much. That's fine. You can sponsor our show, and we'll be happy to talk about you. If F3 does it, and they don't get paid anything, and so I'm more than happy to talk about them on here. But, man, what a great organization. Let me ask you guys this, though, because you guys are deeply involved in F3. I have been to a few workouts myself. Right. We can talk about we can make fun, talk about that in a minute. But what would you say to the person who's like, okay, but that's awesome, but like, I don't know that my next step is getting up at 5:30 in the morning. I don't know that my next step is being vulnerable with some guys that I don't really know that well, or this whole faith thing. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But so F3 is not my deal. What would you say to them as it relates to their own health and fitness journey?
Look, I'd say, first of all, the idea of fitness, what it can do is it can build you up to show value in yourself. And I think you need that. Yeah. Like you said, I mean, I believe I'm created by a creator, and he has a purpose and a plan for my life. And if I'm not moving myself forward, not improving myself, then how am I going to live out the life that he has for me? And so you can find that in anything. There can be I know there's run clubs in the area. I think pickleball is a great way, because I think that also has the fellowship, it has the accountability, because you can't play by yourself. And I think just finding that
That F3 video sounded really like hyped up and masculine, and then you just said pickleball.
Pickleball.
I just want to be clear.
He
So we
did
have a
say
wide
pickleball.
we have a wide range of
Exactly.
events here.
Don't
Okay.
edit that
So,
out.
I'm gonna let you finish. So go ahead. You go ahead.
But yes, the idea that like anyone listening right now, just know you're made for more and like build that into your life, and it's going to bleed over. It has to. Like you can't keep it to yourself. That's the energy you get from fitness that then spills over.
I led off talking about how fitness has helped me in all the areas of my life. And I simply want that for everyone. So I would just say, get started.
Yeah.
Do something. Show up.
You know, there's no one asking me questions, so I'm just gonna answer the same question myself. I think for me, I'm learning this in life. Everybody in the studio is laughing at me. I'm learning in life right now in a lot of different ways. So as a leader, as a manager, you know, it's real easy to set these lag measures, like these goals. You know, we want to see X growth in this or X growth in that. And so you're measuring like the lag measure, the result. And so people, when they approach their fitness, they think, okay, my goal is to lose 50 pounds or my goal is to lose 20 pounds and at the end of the day, like those things can be so cumbersome and burdensome. And there's not a lot of motivation in that. I encourage people, let's focus more on our lead measures. Let's focus more on the inputs. And so you might not be able to completely control how fast you can get to being down 50 pounds. Mm-hmm. But if you say, I'm not going to eat any refined sugar Monday to Friday, and I'm going to work out for 30 minutes a day, 4 days a week, if you're currently not working out at all, and you say, and I'm going to commit to doing that for 8 weeks. At the end of that 8-week period, you will see results that are motivating to you. And so I would say, like, hey, know what your overall end goal is. But I would say if you're trying to figure out, man, what can I do? Maybe it's not go to F3, but write down, you said this earlier, Matt, write down what are the things that I can commit to doing and give yourself a timeline to commit to that and then evaluate at the end. And I think most people on planet Earth would look back and be like, wow, I'm blown away at the results.
And tell somebody.
Right. That's good.
Yeah.
Tell somebody.
But like even everything we've talked about comes down to that decision to get it done, to wake up. Doesn't have to be, if you don't want to wake up at 5, find something. But the decision starts that first time. And then that's the snowball that leads to the next, that leads to the next. They like habit stacking is a thing. So you set your workout clothes the night before, and that's going to lead you to get up and not have to like shuffle around looking for what you're going to wear to work out or anything. So you got to set up that like runway for yourself. Yeah. And then you just make baby step decisions that all of a sudden you're at the end and you're like, boom, 50 pounds gone. Yeah. And you're like, how did I get there? Yeah. It was easy.
If leading with a goal doesn't work for you, think of it this way. Decide, I want to be a person who takes care of my personal health. Yeah. What does that mean? Yeah. And that the goals will flow from there. Yeah. And that's the way I think about it. I want to be a person who takes my fitness seriously. I want to be a person when I do have those grandchildren that I can be really active with them. I want to be the person that goes hiking at the national parks. Yeah. Then the goals will follow.
That's great. That's good. All right, let's do this for a minute here. Let's go off script. We got so I hear, and you guys can.
You didn't tell me about this.
You can tell me. We can do this, or maybe we can't. I don't know what the rules are.
We're gonna arm wrestle. Is that what we're gonna do?
We're not gonna arm wrestle. No, I've got a cold. I've got a cold plunge. No, we. I want to. So what's this deal? I've heard actually, and I know because I've done it. But let's talk a little bit about the name thing. So if you show up to a workout, you're not identified in workouts future facing by your birth name.
Hospital name is what we call
your
it.
hospital name. All right, let's talk about that for a minute within F3. What's that all about?
So we do have nicknames. Okay. And typically, in this every region.
And if this is like Fight Club, like the first rule about Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. Then don't. But if we can talk about it for a minute, listen.
So different F3 regions may do it slightly differently. There's some regions where on your second workout they'll name you. In this area where we are, typically you're named out at the end of your first workout. So what we typically do at the end of the circle of trust is we bring that we call him an FNG, friendly new guy.
Oh, friendly new guy.
It's a
You're right.
friendly
right.
new
Okay,
guy.
yeah, of course.
We bring him into the circle and invite him to tell us a little bit more about himself. And through that process and through maybe we're asking him questions and we don't get the information we need, then we come up with a nickname. One of my favorite questions to ask a guy is, what was your first concert? Right? Learn a lot about people that way. So we give them a name, and then from that point forward, generally at F3 workouts and events, you're known by your nickname.
Okay.
And it just has like a feeling of group. Like once you have a name, you're like, I belong to this. And there's a reason behind it. But yeah, I mean, we'll shout each other's names. Sometimes we don't even know your real name. We're just like, call you by your nickname.
Many times.
Is it fair to say that the names that most people get assigned are names that they would have picked for themselves or been proud of coming into said workout?
So we'll give a shout out to this guy. He went to a workout and he said, my friends call me Dice. We're like, oh,
really?
okay. And so somehow
Not
someone
here.
like was thinking fuzzy dice in the mirror or something like that. Anyways, he got the name Hello Kitty.
Okay, yeah, right.
So
To
You
his credit, he owns it.
it.
He has embraced that name.
Yeah. You know what the reality is, and that we're not talking about anything related to necessarily to health here, but the truth is, if you're really going to thrive in a group, you've got that group can't be about personal identities,
Absolutely.
individual identities. It has to be. And so, for me personally, one of the things that I think is beautiful about the way it's done is you're kind of setting the stage for, hey, this isn't about you, and you need to get over yourself real quick if you're going to be. And you mentioned we want to have a net positive impact on the community. One way to do that in this world is to get people's eyes and hearts completely off themselves as fast as you can and get them focused on other stuff. So. Oh man, how about this? What question should I? What do you guys want? What would you say? A question. Hey, Jason didn't ask me this question, but here's something I'd like to offer to the world as it relates to health and fitness.
Go ahead, Matt.
I don't know.
I would say this. I would say take it seriously. You mentioned, I'm 53.
Yep.
So one of the things that I think about at this stage of my life is being healthy as I get older, as I enter this part of my life, and being active. And it's really, really important to me. So probably a lot of listeners out there that are younger than I am, and maybe you're able to eat things that I can't eat and not have the same impact. But I just think about, as my kids have their own children, and what am I able to do in those years. And that's really, really important to me. Functional strength, functional fitness, and really quality of life. And that's something that is a big focus for me right now. And I think it can be a focus for a lot of people, just how am I able to go about my day with a great quality of life? I feel great. And in turn, you're really able to pour into other people because you're operating maybe not at your best, but you're a better you that way.
Yeah. And I would encourage our listeners, like, wherever you are right now on this fitness journey, like, it can get better. Mm-hmm. And taking baby steps is going to help you feel better in life overall. And there is a whole other world on the other side of being a bit more physically fit. And so if you're looking for more hope in life, like, this is something that you should pursue. One thing we were talking about before the show, Steve, so you work in, we'll say, the medical field, oncology area, right? So
yes.
Which contributes to people's health and well-being after a crisis moment. Like, man, I have cancer.
Yes.
And but what I think, what I just want to let our listeners know is, there's also a way, and I think it's cool that you operate in that. That's what you get paid to do, but you also create an environment to focus on how do we contribute to people's health before crisis.
Right.
And can you just talk about that for a minute, just because I know we're talking before, but just your thoughts as someone who works in the medical field on, hey, yes, we can maybe cure or help heal or prolong life once you get a diagnosis, but what's the impact of physical exercise and decisions that we make before any type of diagnosis?
So yeah, every day I work in an area where we work on new treatments for cancer. And for people out there, my family, your family, if you're listening, most of us in some way have been impacted by cancer.
Right.
And so it's really important that we're seeking new treatments and potential cures. That said, so many cancer types are really driven by lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And so there is so much prevention we can do. The truth is, I don't like taking medication, and I've worked in this industry for over 25 years. Yeah. But I think it's so important that we practice wellness in our everyday life, and it's not just, working out, but it's also eating right, taking those steps as preventative measures so that you don't need that treatment that we're working on. And there's so much impact that we can have.
Yeah. When I don't work out, my diet goes away too.
Right.
So I'm like, well, I'm not going to also eat like clean while I'm also, you know what I mean?
Why
like,
does it matter?
Because I'm just going to be like, woe is me. And I start gaining the weight and stuff. It's funny. Dr. Peter Attia says he calls fitness the miracle drug.
Right.
It's the drug you start now so that you don't need the drugs later in life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Well, look, we're going to start wrapping this thing up. I would say this, getting outside and moving is so important to the human body. And I know you guys agree. So if we got listeners out there that are like, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do, you've heard a lot of different things. Accountability is key. But man, make a commitment. My encouragement to you would be to make a commitment to working out twice a week for 30 minutes. And say, I'm going to do it for 8 weeks. And you might think, man, is 8 weeks long enough? Twice a week, that's a long time to only do something to it. You got to start somewhere. Twice a week for 30 minutes for 8 weeks. And what I think you're going to see, you're going to get about 4 weeks into this thing, and you're going to think, you know what? I can add a third day. I can go 45 minutes. I can take that next step. And it is, man. It's like, it's not only is it a miracle drug because it cures something else. I think it's a miracle drug because it so dramatically impacts, like we talked about, every single other area of our lives. I was encouraged, I'll tell you this, I was encouraged by our Hope in Real Life team here to let you know that if you follow us on Instagram, I'm personally going to be posting some of my workouts for you to screenshot and do at home as well. And so, as with any great team, I have people that let me know what I'm going to be doing as well. So that'll be coming up. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, please do so. You can search Hope in Real Life on Instagram and then hit that follow button, and you'll be able to check out some of those workouts. And you'll even be able to be encouraged a bit because we do offer other hope along the way. And there's even other mindless humor things that pop up on there from time to time as well that'll keep you motivated. So, gentlemen, F3, so anything, if somebody's like, man, heard that, but I want to try the F3 thing, how do they find out how to jump in?
Yeah, so our main website is f3nation.com, and there's a workout map on there, and that's going to show you anywhere in the world that we have workouts and what day of the week they are. But there's also another cool website called f3near.me.
Okay.
And if you put it in your phone right now, it's going to show you the closest workout to you and like on the next day. So that's pretty cool.
And if you're looking for a specific kind of workout, they're not all the same.
Okay.
We have different types of workout. If you like to run, we have workouts that are almost exclusively running. We have what we call standard.
That sounds absolutely terrible.
It does, doesn't it? It's what we call standard boot camp workouts that are going to have some strength, going to have some running, moving around, maybe some barrel crawls. I do like those. And then we'll have limited or even no run. We have kettlebell workouts. So there is something for everyone. And there may be some ladies listening out there. There is what I'll call the ladies version is called Females in Action, FIA. And you can find that at fianation.com. Yeah. You can find workouts for that.
if there are ladies listening to this episode and they've made it through this long after we've talked about predominantly that male organization, then thanks. Yeah. Encourage your spouse to jump in. Encourage the man to jump in. I'm sure that's probably why you've been listening for so long. Okay, we'll put all those links in the show notes so that people can check those out. We'll have some other stuff in there, some other resources for folks to check out as well. We're going to wrap up this week. I'm sure we'll have you guys back on the show at some time in the future.
Look forward to it.
Matt, Steve, thanks so much.
Bring the cold plunge.
Bring the cold plunge next time. All right, you got it. Hope in Real Life family, thanks for tuning in to us. Listen, share this with somebody else who needs a little bit more encouragement, a little bit more accountability. And who knows, maybe you send it to them and say, hey, let's hit the gym together. Let's hit an F3 workout together. Who knows what's next? Love you guys. If there's anything we can do to help you find more hope in real life, please don't hesitate to leave us a comment or drop us a note. We will see you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Hope in Real Life podcast. If this content was valuable for you, don't forget, like, subscribe, share. You never know how important it could be to bring a little hope into someone else's life. There's even a place here for you to comment. We would love to hear from you and hear your feedback. Until next time, let's keep sharing hope.